Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the meeting of the Recreation and Amenities Committee. Today, Tuesday, the 8th of September, 2020. First item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Are there any?
Apologies from Lawrence Plant, and I am substituting Councillor Will Hamilton.
Okay.
And Councillor David Eggleton has sent his apologies.
Thank you. Do I have any declarations of interest for any item on the agenda?
Just mine, Kelly, if it comes up regarding my moorings, etc.
Thank you, Councillor Hooper. I would also like to declare an interest myself as a district councillor. I did seek advice from the town clerk, and it's not entirely necessary for me to sit out this item. However, for transparency and because I wear both the hat of a town and district councillor, I will remove myself from the debate and the vote and pass the chair to Councillor Crook for agenda item 7. Are there any other declarations of interest? I see none, so we move on to...
Kelly,
sorry.
I have my hand up.
Sorry,
yes.
well, I can only see 4 people at a time and I didn't choose you to be one of them.
Oh, fair enough. Perhaps you want to change that going forward, because you might learn something. Yes, declaration of interest, personal. I have a permanent mooring in Henley. I will speak on the item 13, which is mooring enforcement, but I won't speak on item number 10.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we move on to public participation. I do have a letter to read out on behalf of Hannah Wilson. Dear councillors, I would like to raise my concern that the recently enforced ban on cycling along the path at Mill and Marsh Meadows has removed a safe and accessible cycle route between Henley and Shiplake. I feel strongly that there should be a safe route avoiding the Reading Road. At a time when more people are taking up cycling, we should be encouraging people to switch from their cars for more environmentally friendly bikes on a long-term basis. Being a regular user of the towpath, I fully understand that at times it's extremely busy and that having both pedestrians and cyclists on the same path can be problematic. Therefore, is it possible to consider instating another path through the meadows set back from the river for cyclists and possibly joggers? I believe this would encourage cycling and provide a safe alternative route, allowing them to avoid the already busy Reading Road, an advantage for both cyclists and motorists while keeping the towpath safe for pedestrians. Many thanks for your time, Hannah Wilson. Is there anybody else that would like to speak during public participation? Has anybody registered, Town Clerk?
Yes. Councillor Hamilton, for some reason, has his hand up, Chairman.
Okay, Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm pleased that Miss Hannah Wilson has written in regarding the cycling in the town, because I personally feel, and I was listening to the meeting of the 17th of August at Transport Strategy Group, that banning cycling through
Chairman, a point of order, Chairman. This isn't a debating issue. It's a question, or it's a letter from someone. Could I suggest we put it on the next agenda as an agenda item? Otherwise,
I quite happy to have it in as an agenda item. That was what I was going to suggest, Councillor Arlott.
Well, it sounds like we have a proposer and a seconder, so why don't we move it to the vote? All of those in favour?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak during public participation? Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, I've got a second point I'd like to speak to. I wrote to the town clerk on the 3rd of August regarding ladders and the rescue of people from the river. And I attached a picture of one that I took whilst I was on my boat in Reading, which is a rescue ladder. I asked for it to be put on this agenda. Can I ask that that be put on the next agenda? I do feel that this is an important thing that we do to provide an escape route from the river between Hobbs and Marsh Lock, and that comes under RNA. I asked for it to go on RNA, but for some reason it didn't make the agenda.
Okay, sorry about that, Councillor Hampton. Actually, for once, we are in complete agreement. I actually recently met with our district council, Thames Champion, along the towpath, and that was one of the things we identified. So it's something I'd definitely be interested in personally. Town Clerk.
I believe we are getting quotes for work along the towpath, and as I discussed with Councillor Hamilton. At that time, we were going to ask for quotes for ladders as well.
Brilliant. Sounds like we're all in agreement. Are there any other comments under public participation? I see none. So we move on to the minutes of the meeting on 30th of June this year. Are there any amendments anyone would like to propose or any queries?
I'd so move.
Thank you. All of those in favour? Thank you. We now move on to the progress report, which you will find on pages 9 and 10. I will go through and try to watch as many of you as possible to see if anyone raises anything. Everything should be fairly self-explanatory. If you have a question, raise your hand. Mill Meadows toilets. Park services update. Okay. Fairmile Chapel. There's a site visit there on Friday morning. Councillors, Town Clerk.
This item is due to be discussed at the full council meeting following this meeting.
Thank you. CCTV at Makins Recreation Ground. Donation of a Slovenian hay rack. Eat Food Festival, also an agenda item. Provision of toilets at Makins Recreation Ground. Park service update. The Henley Litter Challenge. Oh, sorry, Councillor Hamilton.
Yeah, on the park services update, I feel very sorry for the putting green. And I felt a lot of passion about that putting green. And I was in Marlow at the weekend and I saw their putting green and it was busy and they were selling footballs and nets and stuff like that. And I just wonder whether the park services could possibly look at, see what they can do just to tidy it up and see if we can get it open for September, October. I know the mayor likes golf and I know that he's a bit incapacitated in terms of playing a whole round of golf, but a bit of putting might be a good thing. And I think it's particularly an event during COVID that people can play and at least give them an enjoyment of using that area.
Thank you. Obviously, you're not a regular member of Recreation Amenities. We do actually have some ladies that came forward with a proposal that is still under consideration. And in the meantime, we don't have a kiosk. And as you're aware, the kiosk is under Town and Community currently. So without the open kiosk, we were struggling for ways to rent out the putters. And so I have approached a nearby business owner to see if they would be able to let out putters, and they were open to it, but because of the discussions from the ladies who came with their proposal, that hasn't gone any further, and then obviously COVID came. But I agree with you, it's certainly a space I think we all want to see used.
I was actually at that presentation when the ladies came up. It was one of the pro golfers, and I actually liked that. That was more than a year ago. I appreciate COVID, although that's not an excuse, as the mayor will tell us later, no doubt. But I just feel that in the meantime, could the park staff just possibly give that a bit of a lift if they can?
I'm sure that's noted. The Henley Litter Challenge is obviously something with Councillor Plant, who is away. The signage working group is due to meet soon. The Lido working group, another thing. We'll have to get back to them, Councillor Hamilton, and let them know that COVID's no excuse. The welcome wall.
The mayor said it 3 times.
And the paving round the Leitlingen Pavilion. Are there any questions on the progress report? I see none. So let's move on to the budget. Are there any questions on the budget, which you will find on pages 11 and 12 of the agenda? I see none. In that case, I propose we note the budget. All of the, have a seconder? Thank you.
Yeah.
All in favour? Wonderful. At this point, I'm going to mute my microphone and turn my camera off and pass the chair to Councillor Crook.
Thank you, Kelly, for that. We're going to agenda item 7, emptying of dog waste bins in Henley. to note the increased cost for emptying dog waste bins in Henley and to consider whether to continue with the service and if so, to allocate a budget. And have I got any questions? Ken?
Yeah, Chairman, I would propose the item 1 just to do the 2,000 for 2020-21 and then reconsider the second year at a later date. It does seem an excess amount of money of an increase to 6,800. So I propose that we accept the first paragraph, which says by 2,000 from the budget allocated for additional replacement bins at Millermarsh Meadows to pay for the increased costs to the council for emptying the dog waste bins for 2021. So I propose that, and then also that we discuss the 21-22 at a later date. So I'd so move.
Okay, have I got a seconder, Sarah? Yeah. All in favour?
That was a question.
Well,
Sorry,
no.
Donna, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Is there any district councillor money that can be acquired to part fund this, Ken?
Not that I'm aware, Will.
Any grants?
Not that I'm aware.
What about personal allowances?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay.
Right. Okay, can we move to the vote? All those in favour of Ken's proposal? Can I vote as well?
Yeah.
How many was that? Is that it?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Do that again. All those
I
in
think
favour?
it was carried, Donna.
It's carried.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah. And okay. Can we bring it back now?
Thank you. We come on to agenda item 8, Mill Lane Car Park, to receive and consider a request from Henley Town Football Club to reserve parking spaces on the weekend for match days. You will also see a report on page 17 of the agenda. Would anyone like to speak to this first? Councillor Lambert.
I was just going to propose we accept the recommendation 4.1 and grant permission, since we've done it before and it's worked well in the past.
Yeah,
I'm
second,
happy.
Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would anyone else like to speak? I see none. In that case, we move to the vote. All of those in favour of the recommendation? And that's carried. Thank you very much. We now move on to agenda item 9, use of Mill Meadows. This is a request that we have already considered. We considered it for this year, but because of COVID, it was at first postponed and then cancelled. So it's essentially exactly the same request, but for next year instead. Would anyone like to speak to it?
I'll so move it, Chairman.
Thank you. I'm happy to second that from the chair. All of those in favour? Thank you. That's carried. We now move on to agenda item 10, the mooring policy, which you will find on pages 19 to 31. We are considering this. So is there anything that anybody would like to question or query in any way?
Sorry, what item are we on, Kelly?
We're on item 10, the mooring policy.
Have we done item 9? Have I missed Mill Meadows for each
We
day?
just voted that through.
Oh, that was quick. Okay, fine.
Sorry. It was fairly straightforward. We'd already voted it through for this year, and really it's just
Yeah, okay.
next year instead. So it's very simple.
Thank you.
So I see that there are no. Oh, Mr. Mayor, would you like to say something?
I was just going to propose acceptance of the mooring policy, Chairman. I hope everybody's read it. I have from start to finish. I particularly like the coloured drawings. They're colours that I can see. When normally when I have colours in front of me, I can't tell one from the other. So thank you for the town clerk of using those colours that suit my eyes. It's very thorough. I think it ticks all the boxes, everything we wish to know. And I would so propose that we accept the new mooring policy. I so move.
Fantastic. And seconder, thank you, Councillor Lambert. All of those in favour? Thank you. That is carried. We now move on to agenda item 11, cemetery benches, and I would like to pass straight to the town clerk to make a statement.
Thank you very much. This statement is following coverage of the work that the council has been doing regarding the cemetery benches in the Fairmile Cemetery. So the town council is responsible for the Fairmile Cemetery. This includes selling burial plots, arranging burials, approving memorials, and maintaining the grounds and chapels. We have a duty to make sure it is well looked after and a pleasant and peaceful place for friends and families to remember those who have passed. We've been aware that over the years, commemorative benches have appeared in the cemetery. Whilst they were no doubt put in there with the best intentions, many of them have been placed without consulting with the town council. This is important so we can ensure the benches are of a good quality, well maintained, insured against theft, damage and injury, and are securely installed in a suitable location. Over the past 20 years, almost 30 benches have appeared in the Fairmile Cemetery. Of those, 6 have been placed on plots owned by other families. 3 are sadly broken, and 7 will likely need repairing in the near future. Of the remainder, many have not been maintained since they were put in. Most of the benches have also not been fixed to the ground, and earlier this year, a bench was stolen. Memorial benches should be an enduring, fitting tribute to the person's memory, and it's saddening to see benches fall into disrepair, become unsafe or stolen. And it can also be distressing for both families when a bench needs to be moved because it has been put on somebody else's grave. It is clear that something needs to be done to ensure the benches that are there are safe to use in a suitable place, and that in future, families work with the town council to make sure any benches put in will be a lasting memorial that can be safely enjoyed by all visitors to the cemetery. A new memorial bench and tree policy was adopted by the council earlier this year. Surely we don't have these issues arising. However, the issues of the current benches remain. Given the varying conditions of the benches, we felt that it was fairest to all families be treated equally. As the majority of benches had been put in place without the council consent, we did not have contact details for the owners, and so a notice was placed on each bench, giving 3 months' notice to owners to remove the bench or to contact the council if they wished to discuss it. While our intention was to keep the message clear and simple, in hindsight, the wording of the notice should have been better. We realise that it has caused distress to the families, for which I am sorry. Where families have called the town council, I'm pleased to say our cemetery manager has dealt with each issue sensitively and sympathetically. She has made it clear that we will review each bench on a case-by-case basis, and where the bench is in a good condition, we will work with them to try and keep it in the cemetery in an appropriate place. Where the cemetery manager, parks manager and town clerk, myself, believe that a bench needs to be removed or moved, we will bring these recommendations to this committee for the oversight and approval of councillors. Where a bench is in poor condition, families will be offered the opportunity to buy a replacement bench, and the details of this are set out in the new memorial bench and tree policy. Families may have a variety of options depending on their budget and what would be in keeping with the area, and they only pay for the cost and installation of the bench plus a small amount to cover the council's costs for maintaining and insuring the bench. Memorial benches and trees are provided at cost, and the council do not make any profit. The council also does not make any profit from the Fairmile Cemetery itself, but rather is currently investing a large amount to improve it, with a project to renovate the 2 chapels and create a new columbarium for the benefit of the local community. Throughout the project, our intention has been to try and prevent sensitive and distressing issues from arising in future. However, we realise that in the process, it has caused worry and upset to families. I am very sorry for this and hope that the families now have peace of mind, knowing that we will work with them to protect and respect the memories of their loved ones with lasting and fitting memorials. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Town Clerk. That's our Town Clerk, Sheridan Jacqueline Edward. As I said, we were making a statement. There are no decisions to make. Therefore, there is no debate to be had. And I move on to agenda
Can we
item
make a
12,
point of order at that
exclusion
point, please?
of the press and public.
Can I make
And
a
I will
point of
move
order,
from the
please?
chair to exclude the public and the press from the remainder of the meeting in accordance with the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, as matters which will be discussed are considered to be confidential. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All of those in favour? Thank you. Goodbye, everybody watching at home, all 2 of you.